And we do welcome you to the C&C Auto Show. I am sitting here with Taylor Bryant. He's joining the show with us. He's co-hosting today. We have a lot of fun. We have Mason Rogers in the little room out there. He's the producer, and he's making all the magic happen there, and we appreciate you being here very much. We want to give you some information on ways to make your car safer, more dependable, and to make it last longer for less money and less hassle. Taylor, welcome back.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, as always.
Yeah, you're getting to be a good regular here. We really appreciate your input, too.
I enjoy every time I'm on. So
yeah. Have you Taylor writes articles for the Augusta Press. He also does some YouTube videos. He's an automotive instructor. Have you had any new videos lately?
Yeah, we just put out a video last week on hybrid battery fan cleaning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
We used a Lexus CT200H and took the battery fan out and showed how to clean it. It's just an extra level of maintenance that you have to do to one of the hybrid vehicles to keep that battery cool.
Yeah. Now, if somebody wanted to watch that video, how would they find it?
You would go on YouTube and look up Auto Scholar with Mr. B. I have over 100 videos on there of DIY stuff and some lessons on just automotive fundamentals as well.
Absolutely fantastic. Okay, today we will be answering automotive questions. That's one of the larger things that we do. We really enjoy that. It's a lot of fun. But we'll also be talking about items that are in the news, and we would like for everyone out there to join in the conversation because we will name some subjects, and you can chime in on those subjects and give us your opinion. And also, if you got a subject that you want to talk about, you give us a call and give an idea on it, and we will discuss it with you. It'll be a fun time talking about cars, talking about different situations, and of course, we always like to start the ball rolling with a good Tech Tip quiz, and of course, the winner will receive a Tech Tip quiz prize package that includes the C&C Auto Show coffee mug or C&C Auto Show shirt, one of those two, and either one approved that you are a Tech Tip quiz winner. We'll go straight to the question. If a person is behind the wheel of a Tesla self-driving car and has had too much to drink and tests over the legal limit, can the officer arrest him or her? And to win, you must explain why. We may even have a little discussion about it. So give us a call and give us your thoughts on that. And you may win a prize as you do that. All right. Taylor, are we ready to discuss the first item that we had on the agenda?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. It seems that there's a class action lawsuit against Tesla following a report about employees sharing photos and video footage from from customers' entertainment systems. And from what I can tell, they're talking about the exterior cameras.
Yes.
And because in the article, it did mention that the footage included someone dragging someone else against their wheel in the deal. And it also included a naked man walking around in his garage. So,
I mean, who wouldn't do that if they had, a nice closed-in garage?
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't weld or anything out there, but, hey.
Well, I mean, it's your private area.
Right,
As long as you keep the door down, I believe we're okay.
Right.
With that part. But you don't expect your car to be videotaping.
Yeah, that's kind of would be embarrassing.
Yeah, and especially if that got out.
Right.
And also it included some situations where people were in some what would be considered embarrassing for them if it got out.
Right.
So this footage that's going on in your garage, is that something that should be completely private? And does this is this lawsuit, class action lawsuit, is it something that a person has a point?
I believe they do, and with the Tesla cars that have the self-driving feature, all of the data gets uploaded to Tesla, and that's how they kind of beta test and they build out their whole self-driving software, and they make adjustments and everything to that. And with that comes these camera views. And like last week, I wrote an article for the Augusta Press on advanced driver assistance systems and how it was kind of a slippery slope when it comes to a lot of ethics issues. And I believe this is one of those. And this came out right after I wrote the article, or it would have been included in it. And, you know, when you have new technology, you're going to have problems that come up that no one could ever think of. And this is one of them. And it really falls on the fact that you know, the quality of employee that was sharing those, I guess, pictures or video files that you know, there is an ethical problem with that employee. But, you know, everything in front of that car, and we've seen this work in the advantage of car owners that own Teslas, that, you know, somebody comes and keys their car, or somebody comes and does something stupid to their Tesla, which Tesla is one of the most vandalized cars out there because it's a Tesla. And we see those images that have been used to catch people doing things, but it can also catch you doing things. So you have to remember that.
Well, it makes you wonder what other information is able to be gathered. I mean, how much are your conversations inside a car recorded? How much? What else is being recorded?
Right.
It's pretty much anywhere that you go, anywhere that you have been, is knowledge. I mean, it's
right.
there. It's information that someone has.
Right, and we have, you know, this technology, as far as the invasion of privacy type stuff, has been around a while. Matter of fact, if you ever kept up with the Alex Murdaugh trial, you know, you'll find that OnStar was used as a source for his position and at what time, and was used against him in evidence. Now, of course, that was a good thing.
Yes,
but you know,
and actually, it was the primary evidence against him.
Right. So yeah, these cars are getting smarter, and that's going to be, we're going to see benefits and we're going to see disadvantages to that type of system in the future. Just like with the computers, you know, that we have, or our cell phones, or any other electronic device that we use to somewhat keep our privacy. Right.
All right. So that's going to be some big questions to come. Does a person, does other people have a right to that information, to watch that information, even though high probability it was signed in a contract when you bought the vehicle, that this footage can be used by Tesla as far as in order to make the system better.
Right, and I believe that,
improve the system.
Tesla has done the right thing in terminating the employees that were doing the bad stuff with the footage. I believe they did lose their job, and rightfully so. You know, you can't take someone's private moments and broadcast them.
No. Okay, people, all of you that has the Teslas, remember that your garage is being monitored.
Yeah,
and be careful with that information.
Absolutely.
Okay, if someone out there has a comment having to do with the camera footage that comes out of not only Tesla, but I mean this is other vehicles also. We're just using that as an example mainly because of the that's where the class action lawsuit was. But this information is actually even more than from car manufacturer. This is from phones, and this is from laptops, and this is from all of these other places that may be taking down information that you have as you talk. So we'll discuss that a little bit more, but we have a lot of other things that we'll be discussing. Plus, we will be going and talking to, I'm not sure who that is, but we have several phone calls there that we'll be discussing different items with as soon as we return with more of the C&C Auto Show. But I'm here with Taylor Bryant, and we are looking forward to answering your automotive questions. You can call from anywhere on any Saturday morning, 8 to 10 Eastern Time. The number's 800-224-9090. That's 800-224-9090. And you can also watch us live on Facebook or YouTube. Either one will work. Okay, we have some phone calls. Taylor, are we ready to go to some calls?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I like that, man. We're gonna go for it. How about if we go over here and talk to Frederick? Hello, Frederick, and welcome to the C&C Auto Show. What can we help you with today?
Yes, morning. I was calling in reference to you asked a question about with the Tesla for the DUI, even if
Oh,
you're not driving.
so you have a comment on
Yeah.
that. Let me read the question again just to kind of renew everything that we have here. If a person's behind the wheel of a Tesla self-driving car and has had too much to drink and tests over the legal alcohol limit, can the officer arrest him or her? And what are your thoughts, Frederick?
Well, my thoughts are, I guess it will fall under basically, the same rule as the understanding the part DUI law, where an individual can be, behind the wheel and not driving but intoxicated, or they can be in the vehicle and perhaps in the passenger seat and not driving. But however, it comes under that physical control law, which is implied that in order for the vehicle to get there, the person had to have driven the vehicle. So that's where I think it falls in that category, physical control.
So just because it's a self-driving vehicle, that does not mean that they're relieved of the responsibility of being the driver. Is that correct?
Correct, because they still have physical control. They own the vehicle, so in order for that vehicle to get there and they're with the vehicle, it's still in their possession.
Okay, so we're gonna first put you on the stage, and we're gonna go through that. And so Frederick is saying that even though it's a self-driving vehicle, the driver is not relieved of the responsibility. Taylor, what are your thoughts on it?
I think that's as of now, that's probably true, but that might be changing.
Well, and that thought is there. And one of the reasons I feel like that could change is right now, the Tesla or any of the other cars that I know of.
Right.
Now, there's some experimental, of course, cars that are out there that are still in beta testing and all that, but they're not fully autonomous vehicles. They're self-driving vehicles. And because of that, they are treated to the same vehicle regulations as any other car. It wouldn't matter if it was a 1928 Model T or a brand new FSD. What is it?
Full self-driving.
Yeah,
Yes.
fully self-driving. It don't matter. You're still responsible for what's going on that vehicle.
Yeah, and the car can actually tell you at any time, hey, you need to grab the wheel. And it'll disengage FSD and go, into a manual driving mode.
Now, from what I understand, there's some people that don't grab the wheel because they're asleep. People have been known to take a nap as those are driving. But here's the facts. I mean, we have some facts, and the facts are. The facts are, Frederick, you're a winner. You have just won the Tech Tip Quiz prize, and you are right. And the person that thought that they could drive drunk because they're not actually driving the car are wrong. So you will be receiving a Tech Tip Quiz prize package, and if you hold on the line, our wonderful producer, Mason Rogers, will be writing down your information, and we will be sending you out something to prove that you were right.
Absolutely. Congratulations, sir.
Frederick, congratulations, and we appreciate you calling in and answering our Tech Tip Quiz. And I am going to put you on, let's see here. Okay, tough time there. Okay, number to call, 800-224-9090. That's 224-9090. And we will go over to Ron. Ron, welcome to the C&C Auto Show. What can we help you with?
Well, you can help me buy gas. It seems like it's not going to be no end to it now. What was it? Saudi Arabia is saying that they're going to cut production. Our illustrious president shouldn't have went over there and started wagging his finger and doing this and that. So I guess we're going to suffer the whole summer with high gas prices.
I think
No, the
that is a
reason I called was,
possibility.
oh yeah, I wanted to answer or try to answer the tech tip quiz, but I see the other fellow had gotten it. But here's my thoughts on it.
Mm-hmm.
The state does not issue driver's licenses to electric vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
They issue driver's licenses to human beings, and you're responsible for the operation of that vehicle. I'm not a big pro autonomous car person. Even these batteries has me concerned because of the fire hazards. There's been more reports of people losing their homes because they parked their cars inside the garage. The batteries caught on fire. The house caught on fire. And not only without a car, but you're without a house as well. So I think there's a lot that has to be done before they venture into that area. And I don't think it should be allowed. I mean, they're talking about producing vehicles, Aaron, without a steering wheel.
Well, that's one of my questions, Ron. What if the car? What's going to happen when the person is drunk, sitting in the car, and been riding down the road, and the vehicle does not have a steering wheel? Then what? Can the person still be arrested?
Oh, absolutely. There's no, like I said, it's the fact that the state does not issue licenses to machines. They issue licenses to a human being, number one, because they could be held responsible by the law or others that are going to sue you for causing an accident. Yeah. But the state also understands that the car cannot pay out damages. The human being is the one that's going to be paying out the damages. And like I said, the car doesn't have a bank account. The human being does. And that's one of the reasons why they're going to be held accountable.
Yeah. Awesome, Ron. Man, we always appreciate you calling and giving opinions.
Thank you.
Yep. Y'all have a great weekend. Make it safe.
You too. And we'll be right back with more of the C&C Auto Show. Taylor Bryant, and we are back on the road ready to answer your automotive questions or have a discussion with you about things to do with cars. If it's Saturday morning between 8 and 10, give us a call. And again, number 800-224-9090. You can also watch us live on Facebook or YouTube. And we are having discussions about different items. We just had a very interesting discussion about the Tesla self-driving mode. Can you be arrested for drunk driving if you're behind the wheel of one? Of course, the answer turned out to be a big yes. So don't do it.
Yeah. We're not trying to give you ideas here.
Yeah, just because it drives itself, you can't do it. And we talked a little bit about the camera footage in the Tesla, how that there's a class action lawsuit going on because the members of the company were sharing footage of people in unusual situations. Absolutely. And that's just not right. I mean, it's pretty clear you don't do it. Now, here's another one. For the fifth year in a row, Ford is, well, this is a good thing. For the fifth year in a row, Ford is the leader in U.S. production volume exports and hourly auto worker employment. Almost 80% of the vehicles that Ford produced last year, or 1.8 million vehicles, were built in America by American workers. The question is this something that is important to Americans? Is that something that you feel like helps to sell things?
Probably to the older generation, I would imagine definitely. Mm-hmm. Back in the 60s and 70s, Buy American was a big, it was a battle cry. And I think that's still, I do know some people that are my age and younger that will only buy American vehicles. But what is an American vehicle anymore? Mm-hmm. a lot of the foreign vehicles are built here, and a lot of the American vehicles are built other places, Canada, Mexico, places like that. So, and then you have parts content you have to deal with as far as, is it American-made car? Yes, but is it made out of parts that were made other places? Then that becomes a problem.
They're kind of melted together.
Right. It's very hard. And if you look at the sticker on the side of a new car, called a Baroni label, that it will have a breakdown of domestic parts versus U.S. parts. Foreign parts, and it'll also tell where the car was built. So if that's one of your concerns, and also this is information that's known on the internet if you get on there and look. So if that's one of your concerns, you can definitely use that kind of as a filter for your car buying. But made in America used to mean a lot, and I think one day it will again. But we just need to work towards actually bringing some of this factory work here.
Yeah, well, it's just like you're talking about. So many of the actual car parts and even the types of vehicles have melted together so much. But I will say that the last vehicle that we bought, my wife wanted it because we bought a Ford. I think what is it, Explorer, but we got it because they didn't take the bailout money. So certain things that people are passionate about do steer them on which car to buy. For instance, I think Subaru has done an outstanding job on marketing to the people who enjoy nature and animals and
dog lovers. They're pet lovers.
Yeah. They have gone off the charts doing well in that department. And many people have no idea anything about a Subaru. They're good cars, but many people don't know that. They just know they like the commercial, so they buy the car.
Right. And we had a lot, in the 80s, there was so much advertising, have you driven a Ford lately? That stuff. That song's still stuck in my head, 30 years later. And, marketing has a lot. And there's some companies that don't market at all.
Yeah.
Tesla doesn't market at all. And Tesla's made in the United States. Most of them are. So
in some
most
ways,
people don't know that.
But Elon Musk is he's genius at marketing.
Right.
He's doing it in a way to where he's not really paying for it.
Right.
He does things to get in the news. Who else would send a car out in space for it to float around?
Right, absolutely. I wonder what that thing looks like now.
That's not direct marketing that's on a commercial, but that is marketing that has stuck in my mind. Let's go to the calls. Here we go. Great conversation. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go over to, let's see who this is. Welcome to the C&C Auto Show, and what can we help you with?
Hey, Aaron, this is Dylan down in beautiful Tampa, Florida. Had a question about Hey, how are you?
Man, it is so good to hear from you. How you been doing?
Doing real well. I hope you guys are too.
Yeah, man, doing great. What can we help with today?
Well, I love my Japanese, or mostly Japanese, Honda Odyssey, and got a 2009, and experiencing a little bit of knocking when we go over bumps and things like that. I suspect, I'm hoping it's just as simple as bushings that have deteriorated. But I'm also thinking, could it be bad ball joints? And just want to get your thoughts on best way to troubleshoot, and if it, what's the worst case scenario, and is that worst case scenario dangerous?
I'll mention on mine, and then Taylor will chime in. Usually when somebody mentions a rattle, what I look at is the type rattle it is. If you have to hit like a major bump to make it rattle, then many times that could be things like ball joints. It could be struts. It could be other items like that. If you're hearing a little rattle noise or a sound even on very, very small bumps, I lean towards sway bar links many times because or different things can just plain be loose under there. But sway bar links on that car come to mind first. if does it even hitting small bumps? Taylor, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely look at the sway bar mounts. And a good diagnostic way to look at this is you can actually disconnect the sway bar links, drive it
good
again,
thought.
and if the noise goes away, then that's where your problem is. But one thing you didn't mention is strut mounts. And the strut mounts are what holds the strut to the strut tower on the inside of the vehicle. And sometimes those they're made out of rubber and metal. And they sometimes have a bearing on them as well to help them kind of turn with the steering wheel. But those can go bad as well. And we see that a lot of times on Japanese vehicles as the strut mounts go bad. But ball joints, normally, you'll hear those when the weight is off the vehicle. So when you're coming down off a bump is normally when you hear the pop. But the best thing to do would be to take this in and get an inspection by a qualified technician.
Well, I'm going to mention to you, Dylan would almost be considered a qualified technician because he's kind of a do-it-yourselfer.
Okay.
But he's awesome. I mean, he does.
Okay, yeah, I never know who I'm talking to here, so.
Yeah, matter of fact, he does some of the most
always
awesome things. He calls me from time to time.
Okay.
And I'll be walking through Kroger, and hey, Dylan,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and he'll ask the question.
Well, I apologize.
But he carries everything all the way to the end. As a matter of fact, I want him to run some experiments for us on doing different things because he's tried out PB Blaster and has called and mentioned how good it was.
Oh, yeah.
He's just done so many things. So, Dylan, I think that
it's
Taylor
it's
hit
all
the right
because of you
spot.
guys and-
If it's
Yeah,
a small
absolutely.
rattle
I
hitting
appreciate
bumps, go ahead and just disconnect the sway bar links and see if the noise is gone.
Right.
Okay, and that's safe to do. You can drive it.
You don't want to
with
drive it
disconnected sway
too
bar links.
fast or around too many curves. But if you're like at the house and you have a parking lot somewhere near you that has some speed bumps in it or something like that, then yeah, you can disconnect the sway bar links and just let the sway bar just kind of hang there, and you can drive it over the bumps. And if that goes away, then now if you take the sway bar links off and there's a lot of play and they're loose, then yeah, you need to be replacing those anyway. So I would go ahead and just take a crack at replacing the sway bar. But you can also jack up the vehicle and just shake down. You can manually with your hands shake the wheels front back up and down and see if you have any play. And any play is bad.
And sway bar links are not that expensive either. So, and you would be able to do those.
And we're going on a 10-hour trip both ways. So 10 hours out, 10 hours back in about 2 weeks. Would you recommend, we need to solve this before we go, or is any of this going to be?
They will not cause you to break down. They will not cause tire wear. They are not a danger type deal. It's more of a sound type deal, and they definitely get worse before they get to that point to where they would cause any kind of major deal or anything like that. So, no, I don't think it's something that you necessarily have to do before you make your trip. But I would, just to be on the safe side, check the front end pretty close to make sure that's what it is and look at other stuff, just as a safety standpoint. And you do great about that anyway.
Jack it up and shake it down.
Well, there you go. Jack it up and shake it down. Okay, perfect. Thanks, guys.
Oh, man, great call.
Thanks for calling.
Good to talk to you, Dylan. Okay, the number to call, 800-224-9090. We'll be right back. All right, we're back on the road. That was pretty quick. I'm Aaron Clements here with co-host Taylor Bryant, and we are back on the road ready to answer your automotive questions. If it's Saturday morning between 8 and 10 Eastern, give us a call, and that number, 800-224-9090. That's 800-224-9090. You can also watch us live on Facebook and listen to us, or watch and listen on YouTube. Either one will work out okay. And we a quick discussion having to do with the new Bronco Raptor. It's received another price hike, and it's capable of off-road item costing $83,500. That's before the options, delivery, and all the other things that they add in there. And this means that the ultimate Bronco is now pricier than the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392, which has a more powerful 6.4-liter V8 engine, and it produces 470 horsepower. The question is, should a dealer be able to charge more for a car because it's in high demand? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, but actions have consequences. And we're starting to see some of those consequences. You're starting to see dealers get called out online, social media posts and things like that for some of the price hikes that we've seen, in these dealer handling packages of sometimes, 15 to 20% of the cost of the vehicle that are non-negotiable. And we're starting to see some kickback from the automotive manufacturers themselves with Dodge is releasing their last Demon Challenger vehicle, and it's going to be quite the send-off with horsepower and everything. And they're only making, I don't know how many, but it's a very low number. And we're already seeing dealers that are marking them up $100,000 over price. Yes. So what Dodge is doing is they say, that's fine. We're just going to, have some type of contract with these buyers that they have to tell us for what they're buying them for. And then we're going to make as many as we want to make, and we're going to fill the lower dollar number of what the customers are buying them for first. Mm-hmm. So if you're buying a car like this and you say, hey, I'll pay $100,000 over the price, you may not even get your car built. Mm-hmm. And so Dodge is doing that, and we're also seeing, this from, I've seen Ford Lightning trucks, I've seen the new Z car from Nissan. All of these are getting marked up very heavily, and it's really hurting the industry. Mm-hmm. And as a consumer, I mean, you're who loses.
Did you ever think that a person would come out of a place or drive up in a car all excited and say, I got this car and I got it for dealer list?
Right. Yeah. Before I started teaching, I actually worked in marketing at a dealership. And, we were lucky to get 1 or 2% above invoice, and now just seeing these going for, 10, 20, 30% over is the normal now. And to get a good deal, you're really going to have to, the days of walking into a dealership and getting exactly what you want for MSRP are over. Yeah, for the meantime.
Well, it used to be the big deal was how much are you able to get them off
right.
dealer list. Right. And now, if you get one for dealer list, you're absolutely thrilled.
Well, remember rebates?
Yeah.
You don't see rebates on anything anymore either. So, yeah.
You ready to go to the calls?
Absolutely. Let's go.
All right. Let's go over to the next caller. And I will say, welcome to the C&C Auto Show. And what can we help with?
Well, I'm on Aiken's Energy and Environmental Committee, and we're having an electric vehicle show this Saturday morning at the Newberry Street Festival Center.
Cool.
And we're welcoming all electric vehicles, and some owners can talk with you about them, some of their good experiences, some of their bad. I have a Chevrolet Volt, and I've enjoyed it, but it is gas and electric.
Now, with this, I'm going to go ahead and bring up our next subject that we're going, and this is going to be a little tricky now because you're having the electric class or the show today. But one of our next subjects, or we're going to have, and this is something that we want to bring up. Do you think that in the future there is going to be a demand for someone to provide roadside charging assistance? Now, I realize there's some out there now, but do you feel like that this will be a common sight instead of seeing a tow truck to see a charging vehicle go to cars?
I think it's going to be a very good idea.
Right.
A friend of mine, go ahead.
I just wanted to tell you, I know who you are. You used to have a little white Carmagia, didn't you?
Green Carmagia.
Green Carmagia. Yeah.
Still have it.
Really? Awesome. Yeah. I used to see Todd downtown Aiken with his Carmagia. I had a 61 Beetle at the time. He used to talk to you all the time.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, that's the first car I ever bought.
Right.
61 Carmagia.
Nice one.
My own funds. It is.
So that will be one of our next topics that we're going to discuss a little bit is charging stations, and I do see them. I was thinking the other day that it would be kind of neat if they designed a little portable generator that you could carry to vehicles that was in the shape and looked like a gas can. And you-
Just pour the electrons in the tank.
With
Yeah, there you
wheels
go.
on it too. Yeah, with like a luggage where you had a hand tote where you could roll it behind you with wheels. That would
Right.
be very good.
yeah.
You know
Now,
it's going to be heavy.
while we have you on the line, how have you enjoyed your Chevy? You say you have a Chevy Volt. Have you enjoyed it?
Well, I have a Chevy Volt, and I have enjoyed it. It runs like a champ on electricity. On the highway, it's good on gas. Of course, when it runs out of electricity, the gas motor switches over. Around town, not as good on gas when you run out of electricity.
Mm-hmm.
But I can say this: if any of you guys have a cell phone out there, you've woke up in the morning and you realize you didn't plug it in, that's happened to me with my Volt. I've come home, unloaded groceries, the phone's rang, or the dog takes off running,
Right.
and I didn't plug it in at night. Wake up in the morning, not a full charge.
Right.
Well, I'll mention a good
I
friend of
can see
mine
that.
recently bought a new BMW, and it's full electric. And I met him in Nashville, and he drove there from Atlanta, and he was very discouraged because he had to find a CVS before he got there. No, CVS or Walgreens, one of the two, that had a charging station, and he had to hang out there for a pretty good amount of time to be able to get enough to be able to get to Nashville. And that was a little frustrating for it too. So that's what I tell people. You want to weigh out the good and the bad and make sure that a vehicle's right for you. In many cases,
your
it can be
lifestyle.
awesome. Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly, for your lifestyle. We really do appreciate your calls, Todd, and I hope that y'all have a fantastic event when you go there.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Good to hear
Oh,
from you.
Thank you. Okay, the time clock is on
Hey,
me.
one
Need to
thing
pull
real
over
quick.
for now, but we will be getting back on the road very shortly with more of the C&C Automotive here with co-host Taylor Bryant, and we have show producer in there, Mason Rogers, and we'll all be back with you with more of the C&C Auto Show very shortly. I have some great news. And we would like to welcome you back to the second hour of the C&C Auto Show. We have some great things going on today. We've had some really fun conversations.
Absolutely.
I think you called them ethical
Yes.
conversations.
Yes, this is like the ethical episode right here on what's going on in the automotive industry. So I
Yeah.
love that kind of stuff.
And you can't help but think about things like this that are going on. We've talked about things, everything from camera footage from the Tesla over to there's a chance that roadside charging assistance will be a big thing, and we have a lot more that we'll be talking about. So the thing that we would love for others to do is to join in with those conversations because we value your opinion that all of you have out there. We'd love for you to call in, and if you have a subject that you want to talk about, call in and mention the subject, and we'll discuss it also. Lots of fun. Let's lay a tech tip quiz out here for this hour. And, of course, we do have a Tech Tip quiz, and the winner will receive an I Answered the Tech Tip quiz shirt and possibly a coffee mug. He's been known to toss that in there every now and then. And I want to give a shout-out to our show producer, Mason Rogers, in there making it happen. Well, here's the question. Short and sweet. Where is the spare located on a Tesla Model 3? Here's a hint. It's located in a weird place. So if you know the answer to that, you give us a call, and you could be a winner of a Tech Tip Quiz prize. And again, that number, 800-224-9090. Let's go over to the next item that we will be talking about. And that is, it seems that new technology, that with all the new technology out there, many of the manufacturers are starting to phase out the AM radio.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The problem is that it could be essential during the emergencies because it seems that the AM radio is what is used by the federal emergency management agency to issue. And I guess, and I'm assuming what that means is the little, from time to time you heard a beep.
Oh, yeah.
And then it says we're with the Federal Emergency System and producing a test or running a test on the system. And I'm assuming that that's what they're talking about when they're saying that. Well, if they do away with the AM radio, many people who are listening or riding down the road would not be able to switch over to AM and listen to that. But then, of course, you wonder, how would they know if they were listening to FM, how would they know
anyway, right,
to switch over? What are your thoughts?
Well, I definitely, I don't know if I'm buying that automotive manufacturers can't figure out a way to put an AM radio in an electric car, because it's being done now by a lot of car manufacturers. Matter of fact, it's being done now by GM. So for a lot of those people to say that, oh, it's, you have interference and things like that. Well, there's so many, we only think about AM and FM and maybe the TV as far as radio waves moving through the air, but there's a lot more than that. There's military communications, there's, ham radio, there's all that stuff that's going through the air. And so for me to think that it's not just a way that they can save a few dollars per car manufacturing is, I think that's what it is, but and a lot of AM radio is, that's probably, we're broadcasting on AM radio in some places as well. The younger generation isn't using it as much as the older generation, so it is losing popularity, of course. But I still think it's necessary for certain things, and certain people like it. A lot of churches uses AM radio and things like that. So it's really going to take consumers saying, hey, I want this in my car. And whether the car manufacturer is going to reply to that or not is yet to be seen. But consumers really drive what gets put in these cars most of the time.
Yes. And of course, the question also is it possible to change the emergency management system over to where it will depend on FM as opposed to just AM,
right,
or other areas,
right,
that it can go into? Of course, things that are not even thought of, ways to get a totally different module in case of an emergency. Say, boop.
Right.
This is where all systems will automatically turn to.
Right, and it's just like the Amber Alerts that hit your cell phone, and I'll be at school, and of course I'll have a class of 20 or 30 students, and as soon as that hit, it's like everybody's phone goes off. So I don't know if they can maybe develop a system like that for somebody. Now, I know not everybody has cell phones, but not everybody has a radio near them either. I would imagine that more of the public has a cell phone near them than they do an AM radio.
Yeah. So I guess that's a system that could go either way. If the popularity is not there and the consumers don't stand up and say, I want this, there is a probability that it will go away. But in doing that, they will need to come up with other systems to be able to use as a national or state or natural disasters, things that happen in that area to where they need to inform a lot of people out at one time. Sure. Okay. All right. Next question. And if anybody has comments on that, give us a call back. Next question. As more EV cars are on the road, and they, I guess the question is, what will the gas station in 2030 look like? Yeah,
I think we're already starting to see it. There are some gas stations that are starting to get charging stations. And I went to last week. I took my wife to Buc-ee's. I'm sure you're either really familiar with Buc-ee's or you've never heard of it.
Yes, we always, when you pass by Buc-ee's, you got to stop at Buc-ee's.
It's like Disney World, right? So I stopped in there last week. Of course, that it was spring break in the area, and there had to be 300, 400 people at this Buc-ee's. And they had charging stations, and every one of those charging stations was taken up. And then I'm sure I didn't see anybody sitting near their car when it was charging, so they were inside probably spending too much money like I did. But we're going to start seeing more services lining up, I think, with gas stations such as And also, I'm hoping that we may see businesses actually add charging stations to their businesses, which we've already seen that with like grocery stores, shopping malls, things like that. But just like your local restaurant probably gives you free Wi-Fi, well, a free charging station. And we saw that, Wi-Fi was adopted pretty quickly. And so if we have more need for chargers, I think you're going to have more chargers.
Now, Taylor, I've been to many of the Buc-ee's, but I really didn't pay attention to the charging stations there. But for some reason, when we're talking about a gas station and then a charging station, something don't sound right.
Right?
There.
Yeah, it's a terminology thing.
Yeah, but I guess how close together are they? Are they separated real nicely, or are the charging stations close to the gas pumps?
Right. So the charging stations are on the outside perimeter of their property, and they have parking spots just like a regular parking spot, except you have a charging station there. And I didn't really look to see how much it cost or whatever, but there was electric cars in every spot getting charged.
I think we should talk about this a little bit more, because I'm curious if there will be a time one day to where you will see the sign on the outside of somewhere like Buc-ee's that says charging $10 an hour or $10 every 30 minutes, and will it get competitive to where that price will eventually go up because
like gas
people
prices
want to
right?
monetize selling the electricity for more money and it become a big business?
Right.
And if doing that, will that take a lot of the incentive out of electric cars? That's something to think about there. Okay, but we need to pull over and charge up for just a few minutes first, and we will be right back on the road shortly. Automotive instructor Taylor Bryant, and we are looking forward to answering your automotive questions, and you can call from anywhere on any Saturday morning, and that number is 8 to 10 Eastern time. You give us a call. We're having some pretty deep discussions here about some pretty wild topics that are going on, and we have a caller. Let's go over to our caller, and let's go over to Jim. Jim, welcome to the C&C Auto Show. What can we help with?
I've been listening to both of your hours today, and all sorts of things to be thought about and talked about today, and heck, I might even be able to give you a wrong answer to a tech tip quiz.
Oh, I love it. Fantastic. Which one you want to cover first?
Well, this is y'all's show. You tell me.
I would say I would love to hear your opinion on some of the topics that we had. For instance, do you think that as of right now, the charging is used mostly to get new customers to come in? For instance, there's in our area, there's a Steak and Shake. You have charging stations that are actually, from what I understand, many of these are subsidized by Tesla, so that they would have the infrastructure to have people, and of course that's located near an interstate, so your people's able to pull in, get charged up. Will there be a time to where instead of that being subsidized, it's not subsidized, and instead being monetized in a way to where a company can make money? For instance, you ride down the road and you see a sign and you can charge your vehicle for so much per hour or so much per minute, whatever it's set up for. And that's no doubt happening now, because I do know that there's charging stations in different areas of the country that are there for profit. What are your thoughts on that, James?
Saying that there's no such thing as a free lunch, there's no such thing as a free amp. So somebody now is paying for this, and the market forces will change as they always do. But right now, Teslas, for example, are not independent vehicles. They are natural gas or coal-burning vehicles for the most part. We have very, very little wind or solar energy, and when we do have it, it's only either when the sun's up or the wind is blowing. So that energy is provided by our continuous duty baseload energy production sources, which are typically natural gas or coal. So right now, I think municipalities who put them up in front of their municipal building, let's say, for example, I've seen that, or in a parking lot that's available to the public. I don't know who's paying for it. The municipality may be doing it. The municipality may be getting paid to do it by a car manufacturer like Tesla. So just as the international highway or the national highway system, the interstate highway system was funded by all taxpayers to support the development of automobile travel and truck travel, this subset of vehicle infrastructure will ultimately be something you've got to pay to get. But the challenge is going to be what you're talking about, two of you about Buc-ee's before. Just think about a hotel, for example. Make it even more extreme. You check into the hotel, you plug your car in, you go upstairs, you go to bed. Your car is going to sit in that charging spot until the next morning. So unless and until the load of cars to measure up against the ports for charging balance out, you're going to need two buzzers, for example, when you go to Buc-ee's, for example. I'm going to presume they do this. When you want to get a table, they take your name, they give you one of those things that you put in your pocket. When your pocket starts vibrating, go get your table. You're going to have to get something like that for the charging station to tell you, hey, your car's done, move it so someone else can get in. And whether they go out and do it or not, it's hard to say. But the payment of it will change to where ultimately you got to pay to fuel your vehicle, whether it's gasoline or electricity.
Well, no doubt the buzzer will actually be your phone.
Absolutely.
You'll get an alarm, you'll look at it, and you'll say, yeah, I'm 40% now, I'm up to 60, and you'll have all that. I guess the big question is, will that have fluctuating price increases very similar to gasoline, and will that fluctuation in that pricing structure take away a lot of the incentive to be electric? Because some people say, well, you save a lot of money. Well, is there a chance that it's a little bit like that haircut that you get, that they got haircuts for $10 because this place just opened,
Right?
And then in a month, once it's been open for 2 or 3 months, and that same haircut is $25,
Right.
So
And you're not
that's
gonna
where the
know
question is.
what that charge. You're not going to know what the cost of that charge is, because the odds are there's not going to be a sign out in front of this store, that store, or this fuel station telling you how much it's going to cost. It'll be like they've done with parking meters in some of these towns. They don't even face the time remaining out towards the street, so you don't even know if you got time left on the meter. You'll pull in, you'll plug in, and you'll pay through your app on your phone, and it'll just be like tolls on the highway.
Yeah, it just kind of sucks it out of your bank account. You know?
Right.
All right, great stuff,
also
Jim.
were talking-
Man, I appreciate that very much.
In the beginning, you were talking about the data collection and dissemination on the cars and the Tesla lawsuit for cameras. But bear in mind that these cars, once you own a vehicle that communicates back to the manufacturer, the vehicle's identification number is tied to you. That VIN is also given to your insurance company. And I can envision, if it's not already happening now, that your automobile insurance company will get into a cooperative effort with your car manufacturer where they can then measure you on where you go, dangerous places, let's say, how you drive, do you brake hard, do you steer hard, do you exceed the speed limit, and your insurance rates will, in a subliminal manner, either go up or down depending upon where you go, how long you stay there, and how you drive between points. I bet that's on the horizon if it's not.
If they hooked that up to my little car that I drive every day, I'd be in trouble. I wouldn't get insurance anymore, Joe.
You got an old car, Aaron. See, that's the thing. You want some things are best left off the grid. And your car might be one of them.
Right.
in that world, and that aspect of things.
That's a good point. Very good point. It would be a little bit like my health insurance company wanting all the records from my Fitbit that I wear every day before they issue an insurance policy on me. Yeah. So yes, in a way that does happen.
But and some people would say, well, your phone can tell you how fast you're going and where you're going, but that doesn't mean that you had the phone or that you were driving or whatever.
Right.
But that car.
Hey Jim,
Vehicle ID number.
we're gonna pull over just for a second, and then when we pull back on the road, we'll be ready for more, and also for you to answer our tech tip quiz. We'll be right back.
So we're pulling over for a charge.
And even during the breaks, we're talking about cars. We were our producer Mason Rogers is thinking about getting another vehicle, and he's wondering between a Tacoma or a Ranger truck. And we were sitting here giving the benefits of one over the other.
We were arguing.
Yeah, we were. And I'll tell you, Ford makes a great truck now. There's no doubt about it. A lot of other great vehicles on the road
Right.
now. Okay, we were talking to Jim, and let's go over to Jim. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for letting me back in.
Well, we thank you for being here. Did you want to add anything to those topics that we were talking about before? Any of the other discussion topics? Because I know also you are going to be answering our tech tip quiz.
Well, maybe. But just a thought about domestic versus non-domestic manufacturers. It is true that I remember seeing for years now window stickers would say that this, for example, GM vehicles made with components from General Motors manufacturing assembly facilities worldwide. But the one thing that is interesting is, and I wonder about this, is depending upon what company you buy the car from, the more production and assembly that's done in the country in which you reside is valuable, but also is the profit dollar from that vehicle remaining in this country, or does that go to another country?
Oh,
That's
good thought.
where a whole other aspect of it is. For example, I think Ford's profit goes and resides in the country versus a Toyota.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that ties a lot of things in, and I guess that kind of you're looking at the point that Taylor made as far as so many other vehicles are made in the U.S. It might be a BMW, Volvo, Kia, Hyundai.
Right.
All these are made in the U.S., but does that money remain?
Sure.
And how about the workers, or how many of the workers are actually from
Right.
the U.S.?
And if you look at a town like Greenville, who got the BMW plant in the early '90s, if you went to Greenville in the '80s and you go to Greenville now, it has completely transformed that town. It's transformed the whole population. It has transformed even the education system. And seeing like Greenville Technical College is just a crazy, huge, well-funded education machine because of BMW. And then not only that, you have suppliers. You may have suppliers that are making parts that are U.S. owned and U.S. made, supplying for that BMW. And so, you know, the economy, it just booms whenever an automotive business. And this is why you're seeing up north, and people like Cat DeLorean, they're trying to kind of revitalize Detroit and stuff, because all those factories have closed down because we've either offshored them or we've moved them down south to get kind of away from the unionization of the plants and things like that. And so this is why the South is so popular now for automotive manufacturing, is because we have a highly skilled workforce, and they found that they can find a cheaper employee versus in other parts of the country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of things tied to it.
Possibly
That's a
also-
great point,
It's complicated.
Jim. Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we agree. The more U.S. content, U.S. labor, and storage of U.S. dollars, the better it is for the U.S. So
Yes,
let's hope for more of that.
Sure.
I agree. Yeah, and made in America does mean something to me. By the way,
Right.
I as a matter of fact, the conversation we were having. I don't mind telling you, I love Toyotas, and I drove a Prius for I don't know how many years. I love that car. It was a fantastic vehicle. But I love Fords also, mainly because they're a dependable car, and I like them, well built, but also they're made in America, and I love that. So yeah, it does mean something to me.
And a real quick question I have on the Chevrolet Volt caller you had before. Doesn't that vehicle exhibit a unique economy within its body, and that it is a fully electric car, but the gasoline engine that's in it does not propel the vehicle. it recharges the battery system. Is that correct?
Yeah, we were talking about that
Right.
before. As soon as he hung up, I said, Taylor, that vehicle does not work off a direct drive, does it?
Right. It's a parallel hybrid, and you'll find some other parallel hybrids out there. The BMW i3 range extender and the BMW i8 both work the same way, and so basically the engine's on board to turn the generator, and the generator then provides power to the electric motors that turn everything. So works different than like a Honda hybrid or
The
which
gas
is the IMA.
engine is not directly coupled to the wheels.
Right. And so and that's why you can drive that vehicle a pretty good ways before you actually have to start cranking the engine up to
Yeah, you
run
drive on
everything
EV
else.
in the beginning. When it gets down to a certain point, then the gas kicks in to charge up the system.
Right, and they really are closer to a full EV than say like a Toyota or a Honda type hybrid system, because basically if you took the engine out of that vehicle, you could actually run it as an electric vehicle. You just have to keep it charged up pretty. The battery pack is not large enough to be competitive with a Tesla or a Mustang
Yeah, it was
Mach-E or something like
last
that.
time I remember it was at one time it was under 100 miles that it would run EV,
Right.
and then the gas engine.
But
would
100
come
miles
on.
is a lot for like me. That would work for me.
Yeah.
Because I only live
Well, and
10
that's
miles
a
away
lot
from work.
And that's a lot for back when that car was being made. So that
Absolutely.
vehicle has that feature that if you forgot to plug your car in, or you don't have time to stop and recharge the car and wait, like your friend did, Aaron, coming to Atlanta, up to Nashville from Atlanta, it just sort of takes care of it, I guess, seamlessly and keeps you going. You just got to keep that little gas tank
Yes.
filled.
Correct.
So,
So it helps with range anxiety for sure, having the hybrid component. And I really believe Toyota is still focusing on hybrids, and I think that's really the smart way right now. Is we need a few years of people getting in hybrids are the gateway drug to full EV. My next car will probably be a full EV, and I'm in a hybrid now. So the way that the cars are built now, I think we really need to take some time to explore the hybrid side of things before we go full-fledged EV.
Well, I think the consumer should make that
Absolutely.
determination. Is a EV right for me? Is a hybrid right for me? Is a gas engine right for me? But I think all should be available.
Yeah, nothing should be
because I
mandated,
personally think
right.
there's a lot that still can be brought out of an ICE engine. I think there's more that they can get. I mean, you got some that's 40, 45, 50 miles per gallon now. And I believe that can even be more so in the years to come if it's given the right amount of technology and
Right.
and research and development to make it happen.
And the range on those vehicles is tremendous. And the CO2 break-even point on a electric car that has a 400-mile range, I think I watched somewhere an analysis, it's almost in the 200,000-mile break-even point on CO2 consumption of a gas car compared to the consumption CO2 imprint of a production of a fully electric vehicle. So, and again, even with an EV, so long as you're comfortable knowing that you're really powering your car with coal or natural gas, unless you have your own private wind or solar plant at your residence or business.
And some people
then
do, yeah.
You're one out of however many electric car owners. We're talking minute numbers. So the symbolism of it greater than the substance of it for the foreseeable future.
Absolutely.
We also have a tech tip quiz.
That's what I was going to say. Well, let's go ahead and knock that tech tip quiz. We're going to put you on stage. And where is the spare tire located on the Tesla Model 3? Here's the hint. It's located in a weird place. Jim, we are ready for the answer to today's tech tip quiz.
I think it's in your telephone because I believe that vehicle, like a Chevrolet Volt and some Cadillacs today and others, doesn't have a spare tire based upon the low anticipated frequency of ever needing one. So you have to call Tesla to have them come repair your vehicle. That tire and technology is on the Tesla truck. Or you can, if you want, you can get yourself a spare tire kit aftermarket and consume some of that cargo space that Tesla has reserved for you by not having a spare tire in the first place. Am I warm?
You are not only warm, but you are dead on the money. And here's what kills me though. If you're gonna pay $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for a vehicle, toss a little $100 compressor in there to pump my tire up. Joe.
I'm gonna tell you what. We live in South Carolina, and you're gonna ride from where I live down to Charleston or Savannah, something like that, and you're riding along the lowlands of South Carolina for 2.5 hours, and you call Tesla. Well, first, you got to get yourself a cell signal. Number two, once you get that done, Tesla's going to come from who knows where and how long it's going to take him. Y'all better pack a lunch.
Man, absolutely. Man, we always appreciate your call. Thank you very much.
You bet. Nice talking to both of you. Bye.
Mm-hmm. Oh, same here. Bye-bye. We'll be back with more of the C&C Auto Show. Ready to roll again, and we are back on the road answering automotive questions. We have talked about some fantastic topics today. It's been a lot of fun.
Covered a lot, yeah.
And we have more to go. Because
Absolutely.
we are going to go over and talk to RT. And let's push the button. And RT, welcome to the C&C Auto Show. And what can we help you with today?
Hey, I was just wanting to discuss, we're being forced right now to get electric cars where we probably should have been encouraged to do hybrid cars and then sort of ease away from the gasoline. But our world, our United States right now is not ready to go electric cars. We can't afford them, first thing, but they should have stations all around our country that provide all the services that they recommend. You have to have parts. You got to have, of course, you have charging stations. You need to have grids all the way from here to California and all up and down. And they really haven't done. They really haven't provided that right now. But they're wanting us to get electric cars and then wait, like Jim said, wait on the side of the road for Tesla to come or AAA to come. But why are they doing that? Why are they forcing to do this when they're not ready to provide the service that we need to survive by driving electric cars? Do you have any idea what I'm talking about?
Well, I'll go first, and then Taylor jump in there. I'll mention that most of it is being done in the name of environmental type issues. America has a lot of fuel that we could produce ourselves or refine ourselves and make it available. Right. And I feel like that there's a lot more that can be done with fuel to make cars more efficient, more environmentally friendly than it is now, even more so. I do feel like, though, if we would have kept going the same direction that we were in the 70s, 60s, and 70s with vehicles, and then added to it that the number of cars that are on the road and not having catalytic converters and all of the other things that we have, that we probably wouldn't be able to breathe right now. Right. So a lot of things that are done in good faith and needed to be done. But I do agree in a lot of ways that this should be more driven in a little bit slower manner than it is, and for the consumer, because there's going to be unknown consequences as we go. And that's to Taylor's point, that there's things that can happen. For instance, what would happen if we had most of our vehicles, and especially most of our military vehicles, were dependent on batteries, and we were not producing the batteries ourselves? Someone else were producing them, and we didn't get along with them. As far as I know, there's no way to extract these minerals out of these batteries once the batteries are depleted and just completely bad. Can you recycle any of that? How long will these minerals be available? There's just a lot of things there. Taylor, what's your thoughts?
My thoughts are a lot of the goals, electric by 2035 and stuff. These are campaign promises. This is a lot. This has become a political tug of war between the two major political parties in this country. However, the technology is coming, and as far as the charging stations and things like that, I think it was like 92% of charging is done at home in your driveway. Now, where we get the energy from, that's a whole different conversation. But as far as the technology, I think technology, when it comes out, it's going to build a need, and I think that the market will provide for that need. We've seen, through history, through transportation, automotive transportation history, when the Wright brothers, flew their first airplane, they weren't thinking, well, there's no other place to land in the world except where we are now. How are we going to build all these airports? How are we going to, and nowadays, 100 years later, we've got, airports the size of small cities everywhere. So the market will find a way. It always does. It always has. It always will. And it's just not easy to see right now. Again, new technology has just implications that we just don't know. Henry Ford, when he was putting together assembly line, couldn't have fathomed that we can move this to another country and deprive the citizens of the United States with a good working living. So there's implications. There's consequences to technology.
Mm-hmm. And of course, one of the thoughts that I've thought about just in this area alone, where I'm at, we have apartment buildings going up with several hundred apartments in different areas. All right, and you're talking about hundreds of cars parked in the parking lot there, and if you had to charge up all of those vehicles overnight, so all of these people can go to work the next morning, there's going to be some big arguments out there in that parking lot.
Absolutely.
I can tell you, because somebody's not going to wake up at 2:00 in the morning and walk out and unplug theirs and move their car so somebody else can come in. So there's going to be some strong learning curves. And in response to the airplane, of course, we took over 100 years to move from that point that you're talking about to where we are now.
Right.
So there's a learning process, and I agree with the timelines. I think that the timelines are a little too aggressive. I think they're not as much consumer driven as they could and should be.
Right.
Okay. Great points there, RT.
I have a thought. How about the solar panels? Will solar panels provide enough for one station? I used to have a solar panel in my house, and it would completely run my whole house. I didn't pay anything for electricity.
Right, so that can be used as a car charger as well, and a lot of people do have that. I have a friend that has full panels on his house, and his next purchase is going to be an electric vehicle just because it's free. It's almost no cost to him to charge that car, and that really makes sense CO2 wise, economy wise. It's the best way to go, but it is quite an investment. Normally
big investment,
a lot of money,
and also there's concerns about what to do when solar panels go bad.
Sure.
Where do they go?
They don't break down very well, right?
Yeah. You can have that. So a lot of issues there. RT, you brought a lot of stuff to the forefront. We really appreciate you calling in and give us your opinion.
Thank you very much.
Great discussion.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, we are out of time. And Taylor, it's been wonderful, man.
It just flies by. Every time I'm here, I look up and it's like, geez, it's almost 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it does. It goes by really quick. And also, not only do we talk about cars and talk about these same items during the show, then we talk about them during the break. It's just a great time to get to talk about transportation in general.
Absolutely.
And hopefully that it helps some others to think about different things that are coming up in the future. We missed some phone calls. We want to encourage those that we missed to give us a call back next week. I'm Aaron Clements, and I have been here with Taylor Bryant. We have our show producer in there, Mason Rogers. Time clock's on E, so we're going to need a recharge. So we will pull over for 0%. Now. But we will be back on the road in no time with more of the C&C Auto Show. Thank you all for tuning in.
Thank you.